Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Tea Time. I missed last week. It was my birthday week, and I just immersed myself in other things. And now I'm back. Here I am, Tuesday Tea Time. Hopefully I'll be a little bit more regular for a while now. For any of you guys joining me live, or any of you guys watching this later, thank you for joining me. I am just walking out to my pastures to check on the horses. We just put Z back out in the big pasture for the first time in several months. And it's been really interesting thinking about this idea of how we train emotions in horses. Emotional training is something that I'm fascinated by. And it's really all based on this very simple concept that you can only want something you don't have enough of. And anything you have too much of, you really don't want. And that, it seems so simple, but it really is very effective in horse training when we keep it in mind. I'm just gonna duck through the fence here. So when I talk about emotional training, I'm talking about how horses feel about things. And they're always going to feel something. They feel like they want more of something. They feel like they want less of something. I'm sure the emotions get more complex than that. But emotions are always based on an underlying set of sensations. So, we all know that when you're sad, you feel it in your body somewhere. When you're happy, you feel it in your body. When you're angry, you feel it in your body. So we don't actually have to know that our horses are happy or sad or angry. We don't have to label it the way we would for ourselves. We do need to watch their sensations change. We can see what they're hearing, what they're seeing, what they're smelling, what they're feeling. We can see that sensation change in their body. And when we reinforce sensation changes for the better, we are enforcing emotional training. Now, how do we do that? It comes down to this idea that I was talking about, is you can only want more of something you don't have enough of. And you're going to want less of something that you have too much of. So, let me put the fence here. I'm out here with my boys, and we've got Ari and Raz and Atlas up close here, and then we've got Ocasio and Z a little bit farther away, because Ocasio's been in here for a while, but he's best friends with Z. And Z just joined the herd. So he may not fully integrate into the group for a couple of days because he has been away for a couple of months. And that's because he has to learn how to adjust to everybody's emotions in the herd. When do they want space? When do they want closeness? When should he circle around? Every horse is different. And so because every horse is a little bit different, the new horse that comes in has to remember everybody's likes and dislikes. Now, some horses are going to fit in perfectly within a few moments, and that's lovely. They just know where to be, when to be, how to be, and that's great. Other horses are going to struggle a little bit. So Z, the dark one way off in the distance there, he is a pretty dominant horse. He likes to push other horses around, and he comes on a little bit strong sometimes, even though he's only young. Ari, the dark horse that's closest to me here, is a stallion. He's not going to put up with a lot of that behavior. So the two of them are out in this big field. It's actually a new pasture I just let them out in, so they've got lots of good green grass, and they can give each other space if they want to. We haven't had any problems putting them out together. They circled around each other beautifully. They went to eating really beautifully, but they might give each other a little extra space for a while until they know where to be, when to be, how to be. And that's the emotional training. The emotional training is horses, in my observations, when they really are learning how to be good friends, they have to leave each other wanting a little bit more instead of leaving each other wanting a little bit less. So that means that they're going to come together, they're going to have an interaction. It's going to be hopefully really positive. It's going to tickle all of their sensory systems. So they see things and feel things and hear things and smell things. And it stimulates emotions. And that's really, really good. And then they're going to give each other some space so that they can leave each other wanting more company instead of leaving each other wanting less. So, hello Andrea, welcome to Tea Time. I'm glad you're here. So, anytime you put horses together, hi Magdalena, welcome. Anytime you put horses together, they are going to be having an emotional relationship. It's very normal, it's very natural, it's really a good thing. But within any emotional relationship, where there's feelings involved, and that's feelings is everything that's activated in the sensory system. So when there's feelings involved, they're going to need to use feel and timing. Feel is knowing what to do, timing is knowing when to do it. So hopefully, as I've put these horses out together, Ari the stallion and Z the younger gelding, who can be a little bit dominant, they are going to interact in ways that tickle their senses, that make them feel good around each other. And then they're going to separate. They're going to give each other space. And I've got them in a big enough pasture here where they can do that. They can separate, they can leave each other wanting more company instead of wanting less. So this is something that all of us could probably learn from. When we spend time with horses, we're hopefully going to stimulate their senses in some way that makes them feel good. Now, I actually prefer that we do this somewhat indirectly, which means hopefully the world around them stimulates their senses. It's not all us. They get some sort of good feeling from the environment they're in. They get some sort of good feeling from the herd they're in. They get some sort of good feeling for being aware of themselves, their own body and muscular system, and relaxation and tension and all those good things. Then when they are feeling really good, hopefully they get a little time and space to rest and remember how good that was, leaving them wanting more of that feeling. Because what happens when you tickle a sensory system for too long is it gets overwhelmed. And when it gets overwhelmed, it doesn't want more. That's when you get irritation, you get push, you get pull, you get fight, you get flight, when the sensory system is overwhelmed. So when I talk about emotional training, what I'm talking about is understanding the fitness level your horse has at a sensory level. So their sensory system, how much information can it take in before it feels overwhelmed? How often does it need a break to process the information it's taken in? How soon can it exercise again and feel things? So yeah, Michelle, I agree. She says, sometimes my alone time is great for my own nervous system. Yeah, so we all need processing time. Now, sometimes you can have quiet processing time in the company of others, but it's not an interactive time. So you don't necessarily need to be alone to process, but you do need some quiet time. Now, the way I'm relating it to what happened today is I put new horses in together, my stallion and Z, who have in the past had some altercations. Z and Ari got along great from moment one. They came in, they had great interactions, and then they gave each other some space. And they're out in this big, beautiful new pasture, so they can do that. And this is something that I thought I'd share with all of you guys for tea time today. we all want to feel good. We all want to feel things. We all want to have experiences. We all want to have interactions. How do we make sure it's the right amount of sensory stimulation before we get that quiet time? Yeah, Andrea. And it can be companionable quiet time. It doesn't mean you have to leave each other. Or maybe it does. I don't know. It depends on how new the relationship is, how well you know each other, whether you can have that kind of companionable silence to process things, or whether maybe you need a little space to process things. So I'm really excited. I was a little bit nervous. Stallions tend to have a bad rap when it comes to change and doing new things and introducing new horses, and we had quite a time of it last year when I put these guys out together, and Ari was not going to let Z be dominant at all. He's the stallion, so I mean that's to be understood. But the young gelding has to learn to adapt to living with a stallion and what the rules are. And when we put him back together today, it went so beautifully. So I just came to check on them, share tea with you guys, share some thoughts about it. And hopefully that's some good food for thought for all of us. If we can remember this idea of everything is either enough or not enough or too much. And that is the key to doing our emotional training. Give ourselves not quite enough of the things we should want more. Give ourselves a little too much of the things we should want less. And that is how you train your nervous system to be motivated in the right directions. So thank you, Andrea. I'm really glad it went well too. I love these new experiences we can offer our horses. They might be tiny things we can offer them. They might be big things like a new friend for a while. Then the question is, can we set it up so all the best things leave them wanting more? And all the things that maybe we want them to avoid, like maybe an electric fence, they should all stay in their pasture, should feel like it's a little too much. That's a sensation they don't want to have more of. It's a little overwhelming. You can do this at a very, very subtle level. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't need to be electric fence intensity. But that's sort of a good example of something that overwhelms the nervous system, so they don't want more of it. As a partner to my horses, I want to be the opposite of that. Leave them wanting more. So thank you guys for joining me for tea time. I gotta go do some work, and I will see you guys next Tuesday.